the Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
Hello there.
Hello there. What is going on?
I was unaware I was going to be the one starting today.
I wasn't sure either.
Chill on social media and everything.
That's exactly what I'm doing. That's why I figured I'd throw to you. That's okay. We're live, pal, as we do. Hello, everybody.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to today's installment of the Dads. Not always on wrestling. I am, of course, the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams. But you already knew that.
That's right.
Joining me, as always, the West Coast professor, the man, the myth, the legend, Jeff Mother effing Meacham, as we're not 5 minutes in.
Not
yet.
quite 5 in. That's it. There you go. That's it.
We see Mansfield, the Meltzer, the Multiverse in the chat room. Day late and $1 short when it comes to breaking news today.
But that's okay.
I have to say, I woke up this morning. I saw the news about the newest Hall of Fame announcement, the U.S. Express.
Good for them,
I made sure I shared that in multiple chats, including the No DQ chat.
You did.
And then about 2 hours later, Josh comes in, breaking news, and shares the tweet. It's like,
nope.
You're a little bit late, bruh.
We love you. Well, we'll see. That's why he's blocked by Dave Meltzer as Meltzer Multiverse, because he's too late on shit. So,
That's right. That's right. And because he touts other internet journalists over Meltzer, so I think Meltzer got a little offended by that.
I am so bloody tickled that Dave Meltzer blocked Josh just because it's so fucking funny. And I realize we're under 5, so my bad. But
I know Josh doesn't know why he did it. The only thing I could see, because I actually went back to Josh's tweets.
Oh, okay. And
tried to see what he could have put out there.
Right.
And there was a tweet that he put out about the Massey brothers.
Oh, okay. Well,
and I think that might have been what did it, because we all know the fact that Meltzer swings. So yeah, that's the only thing I could think of that would have done it for our own Meltzer of the Multiverse. But we will digress on that one, because that is not what we are here to discuss.
No, the Malignant Matthews are not part of this, at least not the whole part.
No, we are here to discuss the career of a man who truly is an icon.
He is.
No doubt about it. Called Sting.
Yes. 40 years. Like, I didn't even think about that until we got close to this and they were talking about it on air on AEW. And the fact that, he debuted in wrestling in 1985. So almost 40 years. And you figure I turned 41 this year and I was born in 83. So 40 years of a career. And we've got a lot. We were originally going to do matches only because that's what the dads do. We rig shit. But it was one of those, you can't summarize the career of Sting in just matches. Not even close.
No. And if we're being completely honest, and I've said this to Noah, I've said this to you, I think, in private, but the majority of the matches of Sting's that really stick out in my mind stick out for all the wrong reasons.
And we will talk about some of those. But
I mean, I saw the images you sent, and I know a couple of these aren't on there, so I'm going to go ahead and reference them very quickly.
Okay.
But, the final match on Nitro against Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Stands out for all the wrong reasons.
Yes.
Steen was injured. Flair was out of shape, had to wear a t-shirt the whole time.
Yep.
It's memorable because it's the final match of Nitro.
WCW.
But it's memorable for all the wrong reasons.
Yep.
Steen versus Jeff Hardy in TNA.
Yeah.
Is remembered for all the wrong reasons.
Yes.
Even though I wasn't watching Steen versus Seth in WWE, remembered for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, no.
Bad because I don't go back to the Crockett era. I didn't start watching WCW until early to mid '99.
Right.
There, the Starrcade debacle was over. He had already done Wolfpack Steen.
Yes.
Back to being the Crow.
By then he was, yes. Yeah.
So I only saw Steen for maybe 2 years in WCW, and definitely the prime of his WCW run.
Absolutely not. No.
TNA stuff, while I saw a good chunk of it,
right,
it doesn't live in my brain like some other things I saw over the years.
Absolutely.
Except, like I said, the one that I mentioned that only lives there for all the wrong reasons.
And infamy. Yes.
The WWE run, I was absent for.
Yep, that's true.
I've seen both matches on tape.
Right.
Technically on the cock. Because,
Right.
It is what it is, but...
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do,
And now AEW, he debuted Winter is Coming 2020. I didn't start watching AEW until middle of 2022. So I missed a good chunk of that run. Probably about half of it. And I only saw about half of it. So this is very much a Jeff Meacham project.
Well,
and I just want to get that disclaimer out to the crowd right now. The 9 people watching and the 1 that's commenting in the chat room.
Yes.
So the other 8 of you, unless you're driving, say hello. Let us know that you're there.
Wake up.
Grab a brush, put a little makeup.
That's it.
But so this is very much a Jeff Meacham helmed project. There have been a number of things we've done in the past where Jeff has been, I won't say uneducated, but we'll say less educated than I on the topic, and has relied very heavily on me to throw the show on my back, carry the list, and he would throw his 2 cents in here and there when applicable.
Yes.
It's very much going to be the same type of show today, just the roles are going to be reversed.
Yes.
The words of Willy Wonka, strike that, reverse it.
Yes.
Jeff is carrying the show on his back, and I will be interjecting where I can.
Well, there's a reason, we're blaming Tatilla's coverage of NXT for that back brace. It's clearly carrying my ass through some of these shows the last few years. So, there is that. And yes, you can contribute to that cause of buying JJ a back brace to get into Vegas by going to paypal.me. We'll throw up the graphic later. But again, we'll digress on that for now. It's very funny you mentioned the last moments of the various runs, because that's what I want to talk about first, because we are going to talk about some of the specific matches and some of the moments, but
put it to you this way. I had to Google the Thunder that I went to even see if Sting was on that show.
Right. And
he
sure,
was,
you know what?
And we have an image and we'll get there.
Yes,
but
yes.
I couldn't even remember if the one time I went to see WCW live, if I saw Sting wrestle.
Yes. Unfortunately for both of us, the matches we saw Sting live are honorable mentions, not the great matches, because while the match I saw was a house show, so there's no like video documentation of it, but the two people did compete, Sting and the other guy did compete on pay-per-view later, so I have an image of that. And yes, forgive us in advance for the 2000 era video. WWE can do what they can, like, right? Because WCW 2000 was just hot shit across the board, so just was what it was. But JJ, there's a saying that is older than either you or I, older than time. You always remember your first.
Okay.
And I think Sting's first appearance on TBS, God, look at that rat tail. Look at Shivani and that mustache. Jesus Christ. 1987, ladies and gentlemen, in that upper left-hand corner there. In the old WTBS studios that they recreated for Ric Flair's last match a couple years ago. But Sting had a match against prelim jobber number 432 and had the interview at the podium with Tony Schiavone, because that's what she did back in 1987. And then his first appearance in TNA officially, teaming with Jeff Jarrett against, I can't believe this is a thing, their opponents were AJ Styles and Vince Russo wrestling. But then Vince Russo said, just kidding, and brought out Sean Waltman instead. So, because, that's what Vince Russo does. He swerves you, bro.
You're dealing with the X Factor.
That's yes. And, of course, his WWE official debut in an arena, 2014, the Survivor Series, and as you mentioned earlier, Winter is Coming. Just a little under 4 years ago. It's crazy that so much has happened with Sting in AEW in under 4 years. It's crazy how that's just right by. It feels like the entire post-pandemic era of the world is just right by us. By the same token, last impressions, last memories are valid. You mentioned the Sting Flair match on Nitro. That's the last time until Winter is Coming that Sting appeared on TBS on the Turner networks. You mentioned TNA and Victory Road with Jeff Hardy. This is the last image of Sting and TNA in that upper right. The man we now know is Nick Aldis. Back then, the TNA World Champion Magnus. I believe that's EC3's muscular as shit arm behind him. And then Dixie gloating over the tearing up of Sting's TNA contract. This is Genesis 2014. Like, man, you talk about coming in like a lion and going out like a lamb. Holy cow. Like, just completely bitched by Dixie Carter, as 2014 often turned out to be. You figure Sting and Hogan both left TNA in 2014. So there you go. And then
one of them
lower third,
was a good thing. The other one leaving, not so much.
Yeah, that's fair. And then you mentioned Night of Champions against Seth Rollins. Just a unbelievably sad turn of events with the buckle bomb doing what it did to Sting and keeping it out of the ring for 6 years almost. And then his last match that we got to be part of on the call last Sunday, just an incredible night of tears and unprofessional producers storming off the set and just and Young Bucks super kicking senior citizens. And it was, it was what it was. But it was a beautiful moment for Sting and his boys. I was not the only one that thought that the first son to come out in the, for lack of a better term, red, white, and blue Sgt. Pepper outfit, thought it was Sting. I thought sure that was Sting coming out. Like, oh shit, they did the thing.
A lot of people, including
Yeah.
industry insiders,
yes,
thought that it was Steve Borden bringing back Surfer Sting for one night. And I mean, everybody knows that I watch certain podcasts.
Yes.
One of them hosted by the man who was supposed to be in Sting's first TNA match, as you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
I won't mention the name because I know it's triggering to the Meltzer of the Multiverse here in the chat room.
Oh, he's fine.
Because, he needs to go do his homework, bro.
But in the other room, but it's okay.
But yeah, even he was fooled at first.
Yeah.
And when you can fool people that have written television, that have been in the business for 40, 50 years.
Yes.
That's a moment in and of
itself.
It
is. It 100% is. Absolutely.
Me and Noah thought that he had come back as Surfer.
So did I.
As on the call.
Yep. Yeah.
And then we saw the Wolfpack Sting come out, and we realized, okay, this is his son's.
Which was so cool that they involved them after the way the story went down on TV. Yeah, I was fascinated by there's another certain podcaster who I give way too much credit to as it is. So I will say that he convinced Sting to bring out that jacket for one of his events. Like, we just wore him down. Even he thought it was Sting. Because he was like, oh, he did the thing, because he was at Sting's last Dynamite because it was in Alabama. So he was like, he did the thing, and then it's like, oh, damn it, he didn't do the thing. But as I said on air, that is Sting's original stuff, because he's got that big ass shed, barn, whatever you're going to call it, on his property. So it definitely was his original stuff. We talked about it when it happened on Dynamite about the big. Hell, they even got Walter. So there you go. See, it wasn't just me. It wasn't just you guys. It was a lot of people. So I thought that was a cool touch there at the end.
Good we talked about by the way, Walter, bro.
Yes. The descent from the rafters for the first times, really, since the passing of Owen Hart, and that was kiboshed for all these years. We did find out, of course, that Tony Khan got the approval and talked with Martha Hart at length about it. And I only know it happened despite, you don't believe anything you read. Shivani went into detail on what happened when the other day about it. So he was present when the call was made. So good on Tony's going to have one of those good on yous for about a week and a half on this shit. He did so good this last week. So good for you, Tony. Don't fuck it up in Boston. That's all we ask.
Well, please. Some people would say he fucked it up this past week on Dynamite. And again, that's something we'll discuss on open mic night this weekend.
Yeah. It's going to be a very interesting show. But my favorite descent from the rafters, just because of how incredible a visual it was, and how, when you think back on it, how many pairs of underwear Sting must have gone through over the years. The picture on the right is the one from Dynamite, right?
Mm-hmm.
The picture on the left is in the United Center. Now, Jay, you and I have both sat in the cheapy seats, the tippy top of the Staples Center, with our Kings banners hanging proudly. So you know how high these things get. The United Center is taller than the Staples Center, and he's up in the Bulls banner area, coming down to go whoop some NWO ass. That's, like I said, the fact that Sting doesn't have enough pairs of underwear in his shed to remember his career is surprising to me, because I'd be just the whole way down, frightening the hell out of me. Absolutely not. Ugh, no.
You would be like Diarrhea Dwayne.
For real, like the whole way down, just shitty Sting. That's a big ass descent too. So, but let's talk about some matches. We'll get to some more moments here later. I'm just going to go chronologically. That's the easiest way to go at the end of the day. And
absolutely.
It helps me keep my shit straight. And you can't talk about Sting's career, since we ended it in Greensboro, without his most famous match in Greensboro prior to the other night. Him and Ric Flair, the original Clash of Champions. Again, neither one of us were fans at this stage of the game, because I had not discovered wrestling, nor had you really. So, but it's been talked about. It's been mentioned about 548 times in the last couple months.
Seriously.
Yeah. And I don't think that's a work number. I don't think that's a WWE inflated house. I think it's a legitimate number.
It's been mentioned about as much as that clip from SmackDown of Solo jumping off of the thing onto AJ Styles has been shown in recent weeks. Legit, absolutely. They're about neck and neck.
Yes. Yeah, it's close. It's almost reaching Jeff taking pictures with Mickey levels, but not quite there yet, right?
I take it back. It was mentioned for almost about as many times as R-Truth has been 24/7 champion.
That's next level shit right there, for real. But again, the The
Gamble. Holy crap! Look who just popped into the chat.
Who be here? Who it is? Whoa, the Cuzzies! Look at this shit.
What is up?
What's up, Dustin? Damn. God. Well, that's what happens when you broadcast on Facebook, kids.
Yes, sir.
It's good to see you, sir.
Suburban Commandos in the building.
Yes.
In the chat room.
Yes. Good to see Dustin of the Commandos. Man, God, wow. I am not on my work Facebook near enough, clearly. But yeah, the gamble of the Clash of Champions, you figure they had Starrcade go against nothing at first, and then Vince went, did his thing. Survivor Series was a thing. And then, okay, well, we'll be better about it. We'll go ahead and run Bunkhouse Stampede in his backyard just to be that guy. Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot the Stoner Bros. So there we go. Yeah. The Steiners versus Sting and Luger is on the list. Honorable mention, though, because there were so many damn good WCW matches. I had to narrow it down a little bit.
Apologies, good sir. It's been a minute since I've kept up with things.
It's as have I. I've been so off of the indies, and that's not by choice, I promise you. So they run the Bunkhouse Stampede, and WWF goes, well, let's run a free show. Royal Rumble is the thing. So then they get to WrestleMania week, and TBS goes, all right, here's your chance. And they go with an unbelievable matchup. This young kid from California going up against the world champion. An amazing 45-minute time limit draw. And it was what it was. And people, even Giovanni himself talked about it the other day on What Happened When, it was the start of cementing Sting as the guy, and what ultimately led to him being the franchise of WCW, because that was not quite WCW yet, but it was really what led TBS, led WCW to putting Sting in that spot. Because from that point, the minute we saw that debut in '87, he did not leave WCW. He is the only major star that appeared in the ring and on camera, however you want to call it, the entire way through and never left. And it was starting the Clash of Champions. If it was any other weekend but that weekend, brother, we're going to be in Vegas. I feel bad because we're doing the TNA thing. That's already in the books, but I love you guys, and we will definitely make it up to you next run if we can. So the next three matches, and then we'll take another moment break. 1992 was definitely Sting's year, at least for me. February 92, he becomes the world champion again, defeating a departing Lex Luger, who made it to the WBF enough to promote it, and then had his motorcycle wreck, and that's what it was. But then in May, once Sting became the world champion again, his battles, his war with soon-to-be Hall of Famer Paulie Dangerously and his Dangerous Alliance really ramped up, and it led to Sting's first appearance in, I think we can both agree, was WCW's most prolific gimmick match, War Games. At Wrestle War in May of 92, Sting's Squadron versus Dangerous Alliance. Of course, Sting, Ricky Steamboat, who we saw Sunday night, Barry Windham, Dustin Rhodes, and the odd man out, Nikita Koloff, who his alliances were not too sure until in the match itself against Paulie and the Dangerous Alliance. Of course, Ravishing Rick Rude, Arn Anderson, the Cruncher, Larry Zbyszko, beautiful Bobby Eaton, and they still long blonde hair, although I think he had a cut by then, stunning Steve Austin. What a picture that is. Look at the Hall of Famers there, man. Sting, Steamboat, Barry twice now. Dustin Rhodes is on his way there for sure. Larry Zbyszko, Rick Rude, Arn Anderson. Bob Eaton should be in the Hall of Fame of nice people, let alone wrestling. Jesus. And, of course, stunning Steve and soon to be Paulie. So, yes. Definitely the best War Games match, at least in my opinion. And I've seen them all. Most of them in real time because of my fandom. But at Sting's 1992 started off with winning the world title, and then they went to this show. Then, man, didn't waste any time. Non-title here, but Falls Count Anywhere against the man who Falls Count Anywhere was his specialty. Cactus Jack. If you read Mick Foley's book, Mick Foley, because I'm into cat. Who's Mick? Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, pronouns, pal. Mick went into that match with a horrible bout of whooping cough, which was a thing in 1992, which is crazy. I'm going to get to the comments here real quick if I can, before I get too far into it. Seeing Sting at the Cow Palace must have been cool. I got the opportunity to go into the Cow Palace. He and I both been in the Cow Palace at different times. I got a me-only tour by the guy that runs the place couple summers ago, and just stood in the middle of a Cow Palace and thought about Sting and Hulk from Super Brawl. Sting and 97, so that would have been Super Brawl. Sting and Piper, which was what it was match-wise, but it's a moment. Just so many cool things, and I definitely think about Sting a lot that day. Had my NWO stuff on, not gonna lie, but I definitely thought about Sting a lot standing in that spot, because I know he had a lot of history with WCW in the place. Ironic that Dustin mentions that. It's that was when JJ was there. Yes. So yeah, the Frisco fiasco, if you will. But as far as the War Games, the one with Pillman on Sting's team against the Horseman 91 was good. I just felt like it didn't make the WCW part of the list, because we're trying to showcase all the things. And I just remember Pillman getting damn near crippled because of a Sid powerbomb. What a surprise. Anyway, Sting and Cactus at Beach Blast. Cactus is going in sick as hell. Sting's not defending the world title. It's just a match, but it's Falls Count Anywhere, which is crazy in itself. So, and these two guys had a match that Mick called his greatest match up until a guy named Shawn Michaels came in the mix live 4 years later in Mind Games. So, and Sting himself even said it was one of his favorite matches of all time. So I think even recently he talked about it. So the fact that it's held up all these years later, you figure that's 32 years ago this summer. And then, ending 1992, neither man the world champion at this point. They would go on to have battles over the world title prior to this and after this. But the King of Cable tournament final, King of Cable being a thing. Wow. Sting and Big Van Vader. Crazy that these two guys who really dominated 1992 in WCW, neither of them ended the pay-per-view portion of the year as the world champion, but Sting emerged as the quote-unquote King of Cable, which whatever that meant in 1992. Right. But a great match. Again, I don't think Sting had a bad match in 92. Even Vader, rolling him up like a cheap blunt at the Great American Bash was still a great match. So good stuff on all fronts from the man called Sting in 1992.
Completely agree.
Let's see what we got here. Actually, the moments are going to be better if I do them later, but we'll do one more here. So the match I'm not saying was the greatest, like one of the greatest matches. It was one of his better WCW matches, and it was on pay-per-view, was Sting versus Lord Steven Regal from the 1996 Great American Bash. And you can tell Sting's already on the path to changing, regular style hair. It's brown now. It's no longer the blonde surfer Sting. And Regal's done Regal things so much that all the face paint's gone. So, but I mentioned this because it was in 1994, just a little under 2 years prior, in October of 94, that I saw Sting wrestle for the first and only time I saw him compete. I was at a house show here locally in Anaheim. So, just one of my enduring memories. Again, it's that show is memorable for, again, all the wrong reasons. That was the night I found out that wrestling is kayfabe, little suspect. And I declined an opportunity to get an autograph from the loser of the U.S. Championship match that night. Some guy named Sonny Steve Austin didn't amount to shit,
I do love that story.
Like, fuck, man. Oh, it's so depressing. That great show. I had so much fun at that show. But when you look back, it's like not a good look right now.
Yeah, that's about as bad as the WCW show I was at, where I'm walking around the corridor to go to the meet and greet, which is, I think it was like David Flair.
Right.
And I walk right past Medeja and Leia Meow, not even realizing it at first. I turn around and they turned around and saw me look at them, and they just kind of giggled and kept on walking. I'm like, oh,
damn. And figure this is 2000, so you're still a youngin', man. Like, oh lordy.
I mean, we're talking about the number one freak to the big bad booty daddy, Medeja.
Yeah.
And the woman formerly known as Kimono Wanalea.
And yes, we did. We did Wanalea. Oh yeah. WCW
all to
shows.
get me David Flair.
Hey, you know what though? We all hate David Flair because of who he got to be with. So
Hey, I never hated David. David, I always thought was cool. The problem was David got pushed because of his last name, much like his sister, modern day. And unfortunately, and I will go ahead and eat crow here, David was never as good as his sister is.
I was going to say, if you're going to compare their in-ring work, I'm doing a dad's walk-off. It's going to be a thing. Jesus Christ.
I am fair. I am fair in my hatred towards her.
If you want to be fair to Flair, you got to be fair to Flair and say that Charlotte Flair's a better wrestler than David.
Hey, and I did.
Bobby, I love you. That was for you, brother. Fair to Flair. Woo! Anyway.
He got pushed for the same reasons.
Absolutely.
And only had a moment in WWE where, Undertaker beat the shit out of him to get to Flair and Mania.
Yeah. Walter makes a valid point. I don't hate David Flair, just the jealousy of having those ridiculously long legs wrapped around him far too often for our taste. Oh, famous legs at that.
But we digress. Let's get back to the stinger.
We did. So at this point, Great American Bash 96, we all know what's coming the next month. Actually, that night is where it really started because Kevin Nash decided, let's throw Bischoff off the stage. Why not? Bischoff had it coming anyway, that Ken doll lookalike. Why the hell not? He's such a good dude. I feel bad for saying shit like that now. He's such a fun guy. Anyway, of course, the transformation of Sting with the NWO, wreaking havoc across WCW, making everybody, announcers, friends, fans, distrust the Stinger, and the Stinger devolves into darkness and becomes this Crow-like character almost. Funny how that worked out in 97. And it leads me to this moment. I'm not going to play video because I ain't going to get copyright pinged today. But the Clash of Champions, summer of 1997, Sting had been in the rafters quite a bit at this point already. He had come down from the rafters a bit to attack the NWO physically and make his point of who he wanted. But it was this moment at the Clash of Champions with a deadly vulture on his arm, on his shoulders, and that dialogue, that narration played for the first time. And it was one of those, shit's real now. Like this is dead serious. Like he wants nothing less than the complete destruction of this organization, specifically the head of the snake, Hollywood Hogan. And that's why if you read the description for today's show, it's very much patterned after that narration, because that just touched my lack of soul all those years ago. For those of you not getting the joke, ginger, redhead, no soul, South Park, go watch South Park. I'm not going to watch South Park full time, but at least that episode. It just hit, and we knew that it was coming, and we found out it was coming for sure. The night that TNT aired The New Adventures of Robin Hood after Nitro, because it was during that we found out at a contract signing at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Talk about bad quality, Jay. There you go.
Real.
Golly. And I even freaking AI'd that out. It still looks like that. But Sting and Hogan were set for Starrcade. Now, Starrcade 97 has gone down in history again for all the wrong reasons.
Yes.
You know, Sting showed up not quite as tan as needed to be, apparently, if you listen to 83 Weeks. In reality, Sting was going through some personal shit, and it was thought that he wasn't ready to be the guy that he was supposed to be after all this build, all this stuff. So the finish became what it became. But like many of us, you know, that's when the true fandom of WCW really kicked in, was during this NWO era, and a lot more people were watching, obviously. That's why the phrase 83 weeks is a thing. It was during this 83 weeks that, you know, Sting became the Crow. And arguably his greatest match in the black and white face paint in WCW was on Nitro in April of 1999. JJ, if you were watching by then, I think you said you were, where Sting defeated the world champion, our buddy DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, definitely in the first third of the show. And then, of course, by the end of the show, DDP recaptured the title in that 4-way. But this match, one-on-one, DDP and Sting, where Sting became the world champion once again for the second to last time in his WCW career. He would later beat Hogan at Fall Brawl with a unexpected heel turn. But this match was just so unexpectedly good for free TV. And Nitro had been doing, you know, solid matches on TV at this point, but 99 Nitro kind of was what it was as far as match and show quality. But Sting and DDP really reminded us that both these guys are damn good wrestlers, and just damn good professional wrestlers. The match you're referring to, I believe, was Halloween Havoc 97. Starrcade 97 was Eddie, and I think it was Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero. I only say that because I'm pretty sure the Ultimo Dragon beat whoever walked out as champion the next night to kind of form the J Crown around it, I think. Again, I have to go back and really dive deep on that. Jesus Christ, it's too early in the afternoon to be talking like that. Uncle Jeff's a little tired today, kids. But then we get to, of course, middle of 99. You know, Sting starts to show a little bit of darkness within him. Turns out that he was the one that turned heel, not Hogan. Sting and Luger become a thing on television, and they're back together again. Elizabeth's with them. Sting gets hurt again. He comes back in 2000 and goes against teams with Hogan again after all the craziness against Team Package, Flair and Luger. And I'll let you figure out why they called Luger and Flair Team Package. It had nothing to do with Lex Luger's nickname, I promise you. Woo! Kind of like a package deal on Space Mountain at Disney. If you go with me, folks. Anyway, but by summer of 2000, going into the fall, WCW was what it was.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately for Mr. Williams here, that's when he saw WCW live. And it was at a Thunder of all things. So
the show itself may be what it was.
Yes.
But the experience and the talent that they had on the show at the time,
oh yeah,
was second to none. It was just horrible booking.
Yes, absolutely.
You figure the Natural Born Thrillers, Jindrak and O'Hare, Stasiak and Palumbo.
Yep.
You had Lance Storm with 3 belts running Team Canada for a minute. Right. You had the Misfits in action. You had the Radicals for a little bit there in 99 into 2000. You had the Filthy Animals.
Yep.
You had the West Texas Rednecks and the No Limit Soldiers.
Yep.
You had NWO 2000. But regardless of the gimmicks and the booking, the talent was still very much top tier.
Yes.
So again, October 2000 WCW Thunder was what it was. And that picture kind of says everything right there. You got the franchise Shane Douglas versus Steen in the main event, and the man whose world we live in, wee woo, the chosen one at the time, coming up behind Steen to crack that guitar over his head.
That's it.
And allow Shane Douglas to get the victory here. That's right. Not only did I get to see Steen wrestle, ladies and gentlemen, I got to see the franchise beat Steen.
That's it.
Granted, underhanded tactics and shenanigans, hashtag shenanigans by the shirt, but you know.
It's Shane Douglas. There's going to be shenanigans. Now, they're shenanigans at the start, him walking there, Tori Wilson, who was her own bit of shenanigans in Game of Creek.
And to Cape Rayer's point here, it wasn't Russo's fault. Look at the numbers. The 3 months that he booked, the numbers went up.
Yes.
And then they took the book from him again, and the numbers went back down. Yep. So y'all can get the fuck off of Vince Russo as far as being a shitty booker.
I agree.
Really can.
Yes. That moment has passed. We get it.
Yeah. I'm not saying that there's not a ton of reasons for you to come down on Vince Russo.
No.
But the way he booked WCW is not one of them. We have documented on his show, on my show, on our show, on Open Mic Night.
Yes.
Turner no longer wanted wrestling on Turner Networks after the AOL merger.
Hell, they didn't want him to start with.
They could have had an Austin McMahon angle. It wouldn't have fucking mattered.
Nope.
And that's why they took the book away from Russo. He was succeeding when they wanted the thing to fail.
Yeah. WCW was always set up for failure by everybody in that company except the guy that had the final say. And once that final say was taken out of Ted Turner's hands, it was a matter of when at that point.
Yep.
It really was.
Granted,
you read the
things like Bash at the Beach 2000 don't help.
Totally Russo's fault. That's, you know.
That depends on which side of the fence you lean on.
Okay.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
Okay.
It's hardly Vince Russo's fault.
Everything
that came after that moment. Yeah, you can blame that on Russo.
But as far as the
that doesn't work for me, brother. That's not Russo's fault.
The booking of Vince Russo in that span of time is what I'm referring to, going back to Cape Rayer's comment. It's like Vince Russo booking, yeah, that definitely led to that shit. I'm not going to absolve Terry Bollea of any responsibility. Absolutely not. But anyway.
Yes.
From there, of course, we talked about
cool. It was cool having that moment and seeing Steen.
It is. It's crazy. What I'm saying? Sorry, say that again.
I said, even though I don't remember the match, like.
Well, no, it's funny that you mentioned you had to Google it. I'm like, wow, that's how badly booked the company had become at that point. Yeah. Because
it was the October 3rd, 2000 episode of Thunder. If you go to the Cock, you can watch it.
Yes, and you will see the Renegade on.
See me on the show.
Because suckers got to know.
Damn right.
That's exactly where he is, by the way, during that segment. Like
you'll see me other times too, but you will very prominently see me during that segment.
I can't believe
with my sleeveless flannel, and I think I was wearing my Austin bandana.
I think you were too.
But I digress.
Because suckers got to know, right? There you go. I still can't believe that was a thing, let alone you being in the background of it is a thing. That's tremendous. I love that shit.
Hey, before we move on really quickly.
Yes, sir.
Suckers gots to know or Shucky Ducky Quack Quack?
Oh, fucking hell. Suckers gots to know.
Fair enough. Moving right along.
I love Book. I will always love Book. And he and his people did us solid in 2017. but goddamn, is that phrase so bad? And his commentary ain't much better now. I said what I said, Buck. I still love you though, most of the time. Talked about the last Nitro, of course, and I've told the story about as many times as we've seen the clip of AJ getting died on by Koa since they announced his retirement, about meeting them at Blockbuster a couple months after Nitro, and neither of us knowing where our future was going to go, because, man, it was not so long after that I had my first big car accident and my brain became what it became. And Sting's life and career were very much like what was going to happen, because he even said it on that last Nitro. The only thing is for sure about Sting is nothing's for sure. And there wasn't a whole lot of certainty in his life at that point other than his family. But it was in 2003 that the first anniversary show, if I remember right, or close to it anyway, that we saw Sting debut in TNA. We talked about that earlier, teaming with Jeff Jarrett against AJ Styles, and it would ultimately be Sean Waltman. And Sting returned to TNA full-time in 2006 at the urging request of Christian Cage, who was getting ready to challenge for the NWA World Championship at that point against the founder, the chosen one, if you will, Jeff Jarrett. And it was a thing where, if you go back and look at it now, and TNA even talks about this, he became the icon within TNA. Like, TNA were the first to label him with that icon name, the nickname. And one of his early showcases was at Lockdown 2006. Lethal Lockdown at that, with weapons being inside the cage. Team Jarrett, of course, Planet Jarrett, if I remember right. Jeff Jarrett, AMW, the dark heel turned AMW, America's Most Wanted, James Storm and Chris Harris, and Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner against Sting, AJ Styles, R-Truth and his dreads, and Rhino. Like I don't know why Truth's hair in TNA just stands out so much prominently to me than it does any other time in his career, but it's just there. It's all over the place. But, man, you talk about, again, in a cage with weapons, top of the cage being a thing, Sting tends to shine in a War Games environment. He did here at the Lockdown 2006. It was, I really agree with Cape Rare here. His initial run, especially in 2006, where he was feuding with Planet Jarrett and really chasing Jeff Jarrett for the 10 pounds of gold. And we really didn't know. He had put his career on the line, went bound for glory, and he was having the quote-unquote off-screen training with Bagwell and Luger, and it was just so well built and so great examples of early TNA greatness, because TNA really booked Sting so very well all throughout, in my opinion, his run. Yes, there were some points there where, again, not Sting's fault, but just moments that were what they were, and matches that ended up being what they became because of shit beyond Sting's control. And yes, we are going to talk about this in a little while, so let me just get there, because there's a reason I'm showcasing that. It has nothing to do with Hogan, for the record. Honest to God, it does not. Maybe a little bit, but not because it's Hogan. There's a method to the madness, and it's not Macho Man. Anyway, Sting's career in TNA was very much built around him being a contender for, or the World Heavyweight Champion. NWA or TNA. Some like his greatest matches within TNA after this Lethal Lockdown that I have showcased here: Sacrifice, one of the most notorious days in both companies' histories. You think about it, was that morning NWA said, "Yeah, we're done, but thanks. Appreciate you, but no, we're good." And that's when TNA and NWA officially dissolved for good. So the World Heavyweight Championship match simply became a match for the unlabeled World Heavyweight title, but the match was great.
Yeah.
And if things had not strayed the way they strayed, Kurt Angle would have been the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, which would have been friggin' cool. He is holding the 10 pounds of gold at the end of that night,
It's only because they hadn't commissioned a new belt yet.
Didn't know they had to, right? Bob Trowbridge went, hey, that's cool and all, but now we're good. But yeah,
so, just when people try to say, "Oh, Kurt Angle was NWA champion," no, he wasn't. What about this?
What happened was,
yeah,
you lying? No, I'm telling the truth on that. Unfortunately,
it's like at that point in time, in that moment, Kurt Angle holding the 10 pounds of gold is about as prestigious as holding the freaking cardboard Domino's pizza box belt.
Yeah, and that is not the fault of any prior NWA champion or TNA at all.
Nope.
But yeah, it's one of those what could have been, much like that picture of Bryan Danielson with the 10 pounds of gold. What could have been. But the match at Sacrifice was so good.
I almost wonder sometimes if the NWA would be in the position it's in if they had just allowed TNA to keep the belt. Because you think about all the starts and stops that the NWA has had since then.
Yep.
And it's a tragedy.
No, it is a travesty and a tragedy. It really is. It's unfortunate because, and again, we're gonna digress briefly here.
But it is connected. I mean, Sting
is a multi-time
NWA champion, so
yes, he was.
Kind of circles back here.
It does. You figure when Sting won the NWA title in 1990, WCW was still very much in flux. Jim Herd was booking. That's all that needs to be said on that sentence right there. And the NWA's continued, back and forth since 2007. You cannot discredit Adam Pearce, Brent Albright, Blue Demon Jr., Cole Cabana. And I'm going to sound like I'm kissing butt here. I don't care. Other than when that championship came into Dave Marquez territory, the NWA kind of was what it was.
Yep.
And once they took that away from the Dave Marquez's of the world, that 5 years between that point and Billy buying the thing was, oh, that's still a thing? Cool. And since then, it's been sporadic. We continue to not cover it because we just don't know what to do with it on this channel. Like, it covers it when recapping Power, but like, give him pay-per-view. We'll call it. Anyway, Sting competing for the NWA Championship in 2007 was such a cool thing. Being world champion in 06 and 07 was cool to see because Sting is one of the few that held the NWA Championship. He rocked for that cape rare. I love Jorge Gonzalez, but good Lord, and it wasn't even really Jim Herd's necessarily fault. That's Ted Turner getting him for the Hawks and realizing he was a shitty basketball player.
Hey, El Gigante was better than Giant Gonzalez.
No, I agree. Character-wise, yes.
I just call him Jorge cape rare. Jim Herd actually did something right when it came to that presentation that Vince couldn't do.
If you go back and watch Sting winning the NWA Championship at the Great American Bash, it is El Gigante that is handcuffed to Ole Anderson to prevent Ole from interfering. So without Jim Herd booking Jorge, Sting may never have been the world champion.
That's fair.
Just saying. But yeah, he was a shitty basketball player. That's why he ended up in WCW, because Jim Herd's like, Turner's like, I spent a lot of money on this guy. Can we do something with him? And Herd and Ole are like, yeah, we got this. No, we don't got this. We don't. Anyway, Sting challenging for the championship in TNA became what it was. That was how Sting was defined. Sacrifice 2007, great triple threat match. Kurt Angle one-on-one at Bound for Glory a couple different times for the world title, him and Sting. And then one of my favorite matches of either of these guys ever. Bound for Glory 2009. Sting's career, possibly, versus AJ Styles World Championship. And for a while, it was thought that Sting was going to be done. That was in 2009, kids. That was 15 years ago. And he He just now hung him up. Just saying. So, as documented
later.
Yes. Now, after 2009, of course, Hulkamania ended up in TNA. Now, I will not sit here and heap the praise of the red and yellow or the Hollywood in TNA onto all of your unsolicited ears. However, without Hulk Hogan in TNA, we don't get Joker Sting.
This is fair.
And Joker Sting was prime Sting in TNA.
Although the flip side of that coin, without Hulk Hogan in TNA, Brooke Hogan isn't on our TV screens on a regular again.
I'll take.
I mean, I'm willing to mute because she was eye candy, but no Hulk. You're a bad Hulk for bringing Brooke Hogan back onto our wrestling TV screens. It was one thing to watch her on Hogan Knows Best. That was your show. It's another thing for her to be on weekly episodic wrestling television.
In charge of the knockouts. Yeah, Bad Terry. I will say, though, her initial
Marion
promo.
Bully Ray.
Yeah. Okay, I'm good. All I will say about Brooke Hogan in TNA, if you hit the mute button and you watch that initial promo of her tearing off the red and yellow colors, you are in good shape, brother. That works for me, brother. Anyway, we are bad people. Poor Brooke Hogan. Anyway, I love Joker Sting too, by God. And I thought his initial outing in that office, like dressing Terry Bollea down and painting that paint all over his face and just completely going insane Icon on us, led to some beautiful, granted, Sting and Hogan in TNA, whatever, right? And the match Bound for Glory was exactly what it was. It was a hot piece of shit. But it brought us the real Hulk Hogan back in a beautiful moment. And, you know, but Joker Sting, from that run all the way through running the company as Joker Sting, as the GM, seeing a brief glimmer of the Joker Sting here in AEW. Toward the end, it was just a cool character twist in TNA. And I will, I won't necessarily, give Hogan the credit for that, because as documented, he wasn't necessarily booking that. He was just giving consultation, creative input, but Joker Sting would not exist without the feud with Hogan. So I just wanted to briefly showcase the feud, the angle, not necessarily the man.
That's fair.
But then, of course, early 2014, as we documented, the running Sting out of TNA with Magnus and Dixie and God. And then out of nowhere, much like an RKO, in the summer of 2014, a commercial airs on Raw promoting WWE 2K15. And it's in this warehouse, and it's dark, and it's spotlit, and we hear the doom, 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 and we're like, what? And the band's playing the theme, and they're doing the thing, and you see this figure descend in shadow from the top of the building, and they all turn when they're done playing the music, and they have black and white face paint, and they turn back to the character, and there he is. For the first time in a licensed WWE game is Sting. And I still, even right now talking about it, get the goosebumps, because it was like, oh shit. And then that November, of course, Survivor Series, like we talked about, man, just like we knew it was coming. We knew it was imminent. But man, having him walk, and I know you weren't watching at that point. You had earlier that year had said, nope, I'm good. And that was valid at that point, to be fair. But Sting's finally arriving in WWE. And then, of course, we talked about the Night of Champions match a year later, unfortunately being what it was. But the moment at WrestleMania, seeing him, knowing my buddy Aaron and his party, his entourage, if you will, were in the house at Levi Stadium and watching Sting get to finally compete at WrestleMania. I think we all lost our damn minds because it was just so unexpected that we would see Sting in a WWE ring. I flash back to that conversation against the window at Blockbuster Video. I don't know what Vince McMahon will do with a Sting. Turned out it didn't end very well, but you know, WrestleMania moments are a thing, and Sting had his. And it involved Triple H, it involved DX, it involved the NWO, which was so fucking cool for me. Just for reasons. And yeah, the matches in WWE were what they were. They were few and far between. They weren't the greatest in Sting's career, which is why we're not talking about the matches with WWE. We're talking about the moments. You know, going back to TNA, getting to be inducted into TNA, the first ever inductee into the TNA Hall of Fame. Retiring from WWE at the Hall of Fame podium with Flair introducing him, which, who else could introduce Sting for a Hall of Fame induction but Ric Flair, right? Just such a great moment. And, the way he went out, we thought, okay, Sting had another run with another company and it was what it was. And then this little engine that could popped up 5 years ago. And toward the end of 2020, with Winter is Coming, we saw Sting again emerge from the shadows to help his buddy Darby Allin. And yes, getting Sting versus Undertaker would have been a wonderful thing. And I think in a perfect world, WrestleMania 27 would have been a thing. It was talked about that it was going to be a thing. Look at that. Look at that. Look at and look who the referee is. I forgot about that completely. It's little Nate, Charles Robinson. You talk about a moment like, okay, just show me the Monday Night War in one image. That's that shit right there.
Yep.
God, it's if I have one non-attending WrestleMania regret, it's that one. Could have gone to Seattle for 19 with the no DQ team, which was very small, much smaller at that point, just three of us. But man, going to Santa Clara would have been really cool to see stuff like that, to see Ronda, to have the moment with The Rock coming out, flying across the country from New York after being on SNL the night before. Just so many cool moments at that Mania. The biggest cash in and Money in the Bank history. Suplex City, bitch. Just so much good stuff in that Mania. But yeah, as much as it was unexpected, the matches in AEW were as great as the moments, I thought. And his first match, teaming with Darby against Team Taz at Revolution 2021, the big street fight, the cinematic match as it came to be called, because WWE had done cinematic matches at WrestleMania the prior year. Of course, the infamous Firefly Funhouse match and the Boneyard match that were presented. And that gave, in my opinion, AEW the opportunity to go, you know what? I think we can protect Sting here if we do it this way. So that, for lack of a better term, warehouse brawl, it was exactly the way to go to keep Sting protected and let Darby leave himself unprotected, because Darby Allin's a psychopath. Today, we saw that on Sunday. But I really feel like it was a good introduction, and we all on this multiverse love us some Ricky Starks, and we love us some Brian Cage. So I'm here for that showcasing of those four talents. Even though they were managed by Taz, but that's not their fault. That's just booking. This one, you talk about a throwback for Sting. In the category of, I can't wrestle Arn and Tully ever again, but Tully's there, so, it worked out. But yeah, AEW Grand Slam, Dynamite Grand Slam in New York, FTR, arguably the greatest pure tag team left in the business right now, with Tully Blanchard against Sting and Darby. It's so hard for me to stay neutral, unbiased, whatever the word you want to use, because I love all 5 of these guys, including Tully. Tully was close more than once to being a interview subject here on this within this multiverse. It never got done. It's still possible. He's still kicking. God bless Tully. But all about the scheduling and the opportunities. But seeing
and hoping there's not a drug test that day.
You're wrong for that on so many levels. I can't even fucking process that.
If you know,
you know, but damn. But seeing Sting get to interact with so many different stars of today and opportunity to work with from his point of view, these young pups, these kids that, venerated him when they were kids. Growing up as wrestling fans, I know FTR was wrestling fans. God, they are the Arn and Tully of this era. They were Bret Hart fans, and they loved Crockett Promotions and WCW as well. So, them getting to wrestle Sting with Tully in their corner, I'm sure was not lost on Dax and Cash for a single freaking moment.
Yeah.
Such a cool match to be witness to. We've definitely been able to have a few opportunities to call Sting matches in our Multiverse of Media watch-alongs, but I think there will be no greater Sting moment for us on terms of watch-alongs than what you and James and Noah got to call this last Sunday, of course. It's one of those rare things that you have a champion going into a match where it's going to be a retirement. You have an opportunity to see the fact that, they're going to be defending the championship, and it's like you almost assume that that's it. They're going to lose. Like that's going to be the last time we ever see them, and they're going to go out, on their sword. And it was booked completely the opposite way. The EVPs took the fall. And you're going to hear this once and probably not again for a long time to come, given who it is. The Bucks did good. The Bucks put Sting over. They did what they needed to do on Sunday. We'll get to Wednesday, tomorrow night, open mic night. But for Sunday, they did their thing.
I'm Harvey Dent here.
You're of two minds.
Because if you listen to Steen at the scrum, Steen didn't want to win his match. Steen wanted the Bucks to go over. Tony and the Bucks pushed for Steen to go over in the final match. So you can either look at it as the Bucks and Tony did the right thing by putting Steen over, or you look at it as the man's one wish in his final match got denied by the owner and the EVPs. So you can really kind of look at both sides of that sword there. And did the Bucks do the right thing by forcing Steen to do what he didn't want to do?
I choose to look at it.
So
I know, I agree.
I don't want to get into a debate here because we'll go down a dark path to Wonderland. And tick-tock, we have to fix the cuckoo clock. We've got a live stream in under an hour that we got to do.
Yes, no, that's accurate. We do.
So, but I just want to throw that little tidbit out there.
Yes.
Let's not heap a shit ton of praise on the Bucks for doing the right thing, because depending on which side of the fence you stand on, they either jobbed to Steen and that was the right thing to do, or they forced their will upon a man who didn't want it to go that way.
I'm only going to choose to be on the praising side for this image. Sting and Flair could have been something great had they had more time to prepare, had, either of them really been ready, right? The end of TNA run was awful. His WWE run, unfortunately, ended, with a whimper. He got to go out, with the fans singing his praises, his boys with him, Darby with him, or what was left of Darby, I should say. And yes, Darby is a tough son of a bitch. He's a crazy man, but I'm not going to the scrum with my back like that. I'm not going through the glass in the first fucking place either. But that's neither here nor there because I'm not crazy.
Or looking the way Ospreay did. I'm not going to the scrum.
Dude, that bruise on his backside, like how was he sitting during that scrum? Because I am convinced
then he wrestled again this week.
Between what I've seen of Will Ospreay in the ring and interacting with him on the cruise, I am 100% convinced he is British, so he can hold his liquor, but the dude's part Kryptonian or something. I swear to God he is. It's ridiculous. He is going to be something so special now he's in AEW full-time. Oh my God, Jesus.
He compared himself to Wolverine at the scrum, and I think that's a fair comparison.
Jesus. Yeah.
An adamantium skeleton with an insane healing ability.
Yeah. He is definitely a mutant. Like, there's no doubt in my mind he's got something going on there besides just the fact that he's British and crazy. Anyway. But yeah. Sting's, I've been very fortunate that when I started watching professional wrestling, sports entertainment in 1990, Sting and his original partner, Jim Hellwig, the Ultimate Warrior, were both world champions. Say what you will about the Warriors WWE Championship run. Not right now. We only got a few more minutes. At the end of the day, it was an experiment. It was a try. And some people will tell you, and it's bullshit, and I'll explain why in a minute, that Sting became NWA champion because the Warrior became WWE champion. And that's not the case. Sting was supposed to be the NWA champion in February of 1990. At that clash at the Wrestle War show, which, RoboCop was there. We don't talk about that very often. But Sting was going to be the world champion before Warrior was. And the WWF saw that Hogan was on the decline-ish. And this big, bad bodybuilder with face paint and tassels and colors and a theme song that would not quit was on the rise. And then they had the Ultimate Warrior, too. So they went, okay, well, we can't have this guy. We'll use this. We'll do this guy instead. That's, again, retroactively, the Warrior's been praised, but I'm going to keep it real. Without Sting being booked and it freaking obvious as hell that he was going to be the world champion, Warrior wouldn't have been champion when I started watching.
That's right.
And I am so grateful that I got to meet him. I do, to this day, regret using nefarious means to get his phone number to try to book an interview. That was 100% not okay. I hope I am able to correct that at some point before my career ends or he is unable to do an interview anymore, because I would love to sit down with him for 30 minutes even, Jesus, and just pick the brain, because that'd be really cool at this point now that he's looking at his entire career in the rear view. And I do miss doing interviews. There was talk on social media about this with me. I miss the interview stuff. I thought they did pretty well in a lot of those. And Sting would be a great subject to have in this space. Now that this space is doable, rather than trying to manipulate technology to have to try to come up with shit like this. Like, here, you go here, boom, we're good. Here we go.
Yeah.
It'd be great. But what is great and what is going to be is great is coming up at the top of the hour, 7:00 Eastern, 4 Pacific. We talked about Sacrifice in the world of TNA before. They are once again taking to the airwaves tonight across TNA Plus and other platforms that TNA runs. I think they're on Thriller TV, what used to be, of course, Fight TV. They are going to be live on that tonight, but we will have our coverage with Noah and James on commentary. We again thank James for stepping in Tilla's unexpected absence. And we will be on the air again, not right after we're done, unless we go another 45 minutes, which, whatever. But we'll be doing that. And also, you see in the upper corner there, hashtag Renegade to Rebellion. You can help my partner in crime here, the Renegade JJ Williams, get him to Rebellion and the Impact tapings in Vegas coming up on April 20th and 21st. There is your code. Go ahead and click on it. I would love if the three of us could have a wonderful April weekend in Vegas and get to see TNA, you for the first time, me for the first time in almost 20 years, live and in person. My first time going to Impact, period, as far as an Impact television taping. My second TNA premium event, special, whatever you want to call it. Before we get to the next graphic, I would sell what's left of my soul to interview The Undertaker. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, oh my God. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
You mentioned Sacrifice coming up at the top of the hour.
I did.
You mentioned Renegade to Rebellion.
I did.
Why don't we take a look at all the other watch-alongs that have been announced that we will be covering from now through the Bash in Berlin?
That is a damn good idea. That's why you are who you are, brother. Here's what's coming.
We'll be right back.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
All the wrestling, all the wrestling, all the wrestling, all the professional wrestling. Damn it. And sports entertainment.
But even that's still getting good enough to watch for Noah. I was trying to find a clip of him doing that. I was like, scroll like I gotta figure out, but I couldn't find it. So I'm glad you did that over me. Thank you.
And shout out to the simple man with the spectacular voice who, as you pointed out, will be anchoring the watch along for Sacrifice at the top of the hour.
Yes. So be sure you check out all the outlets on YouTube of the Multiverse of Media, because we going live and live in color. And then tomorrow, oh dear Lord, help me tomorrow. We got some shit to discuss, kids.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna throw this image up there. And as I said on Musings, I will choose to speak when I feel I'm appropriate enough and educated enough and in a place to speak. And I will sit here and my name is on the marquee, and I will acknowledge the fact that it is my responsibility, because we are going to get into some shit that a lot of you guys aren't going to be comfortable with tomorrow. That's just the way of things.
I am going to try to handle my portion of the conversation in a professional manner.
Absolutely.
But it all's very much stuff that needs to be discussed. Of course, by seeing the image, we're going to be discussing Bull Nakano, Paul Heyman, and now the U.S. Express's announcement for the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yep.
We're going to discuss the debut of Kazuchika Okada, not just being all elite, but being a member of the elite. And we will be touching on we'll just say the controversial comments that have been made by members of the internet wrestling community in the past 72 hours regarding Bianca Belair that treaded on racist ground
Yes.
And we will just leave that at that for now.
Yeah. I briefly went off on the IWC when it came to Maxine Dupree because I feel that she has been grossly criticized by people that have no business criticizing anybody, let alone professional athletes. And again, I made it clear that was my opinion, and that's how I felt about it. What's going to be talked about tomorrow on the Okada side, I've talked myself to absolute fucking death, if I'm being real. The stuff about Bianca, I'm just not that guy in the room at the end of the day. If I'm being real, but I am more than willing, and I will say that again, I am more than willing to provide that platform for the rest of the team because that shit needs to be discussed. You are absolutely correct.
And I will just rewind back really quickly, going back to our live broadcast on Monday regarding Paul Heyman and his announcement for the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
The fact that we've had 3 announcements this week is exactly why I feel like it should be WWE television making the announcements and not other outlets. Can a motherfucker get a chance to breathe before we get another announcement?
Yes.
We haven't even gotten to the show yet that Paul Heyman is fucking on to do something for him, and we got 2 more fucking announcements.
Yes.
And you were so in favor of the other outlets on Monday. Having seen this now over the course of the week, do you come to my side or do you stand your ground? Because God damn it, we have cookies over here, and you a fat girl.
I know, I understand that, but I'm going to Santa Monica. I'm gonna eat some good shit tonight, for the record. Because I've been on 3rd Street and 4th Street in Santa Monica forever. I'm so looking forward to this trip. However, I will say that if they done it on the bump, I'm good. If they done it on some sort of video, I'm good. But yeah, the way they've handled it this week. Now, I feel, and I'll get more into this tomorrow.
Yes.
I feel like they've announced Barry and Mike to quelch the rumors of Bray.
Agreed.
That's my opinion.
We're getting Wyndham and Rotundo instead of Wyndham Rotundo.
Yes. Bingo. He said exactly what was on my brain. And I think that was done with purpose and intent because both of them are members of Bray's family. And they're going to talk about Bray. It's going to be a freaking thing.
Yep.
So that's the way let's put Bray in the Hall of Fame this year. This is what you're going to get, kids. This is what you're going to get. This is how you're going to get it because they're both going to talk about Bray probably ad nauseum. So
probably will be inducted by Bo.
As we told my, at the time, 1st grade level son, his teacher's catchphrase, get what you get and don't have a fit.
There you go.
Shout out to Miss Perez. Love that woman.
So.
Savior of my boy back then. Anyway, we will be live, as we talked about, at the top of the hour. TNA, the stars of TNA prepare to make whatever sacrifice they can to come out triumphant on Premium Live event. We'll be back here tomorrow with the group en masse for open mic night, whoever decides to show up. And if you don't show up, then you're just not good people, by God.
Damn
you know who you are, you bunch of grumble bitch. Anyway.
And of course, one more time, the Renegade to Rebellion. Click the QR code to make a donation.
Yes.
We're about a quarter of the way there.
There you go.
Me and Noah said last night on Simply Predicting that what we should do is any of the off the cuff, hey, if you want to know how to make an ass of himself and do this, send it to that.
That's a good idea.
So what we said last night, because he made an off the cuff comment about how he's not going to sing "Oh Canada." If you want Noah Foster to sing "Oh Canada" tomorrow night on open mic night, scan the QR code, and it's a $25 donation because that's what it usually is on karaoke night to pick somebody and pick the song.
I dig it, brother. I dig it.
I'll go ahead and leave that there for another 30 seconds in case somebody wants to do it. And then, of course, we'll make sure we throw it up during the broadcast today.
Yeah, I will say this though, since we're talking about Canada, Hannah Davey, who is now the anthem singer, primary at the Kings games, she sang "O Canada" partly in French and partly in English last night.
Ooh.
He banged that out, man. I was impressed as hell. I miss our good luck charm Pia Toscano. Do not get me wrong, but she never did "O Canada." She wasn't into that song. And we had Lindsay Ridgway come in for a lot of time, and I love Lindsay Ridgway. Good friend at this point. But nobody's ever done the Robert Goulet thing of singing in both languages. I was like, damn, I'm sitting up there at Stage 308 going, that was next level. I went down and saw her later. I'm like, Hannah, that impressed the shit out of me because I haven't been to a game where we played a Canadian team since she's been their singer. So that was pretty cool. But yes, again, all that great singing, all those great moments last night, and we still went to overtime with the Ottawa Senators. God damn it, Kings, you gotta do better. You're killing me. You guys are killing me. Slowly but surely, you're draining my essence. I'm gonna make the sacrifice of not going to a Kings game for a couple of days. Although I did get a text during the show. I'm being asked to go tomorrow, for the record.
No.
So he, without going into too much, he's had several falls today. So it's like he's not gonna be able to go, and Dylan's gonna be at his mother's. We'll talk off here in a second. Anyway, I want to thank everybody who was here. We had a good, solid double-digit audience for the entire show today. And it's in the early afternoon out here in California. So you guys are awesome that it's so early in the day and you're watching our stuff and you're supporting us. I really appreciate it. We will be back in a couple weeks on my dad's birthday, no less, with the next episode of Dads, Not Always on Wrestling. So we'll come up with something that'll be wrestling centric, of course, because it's March, but we'll have to come up with something that ties into good old Frank Meacham because it's his birthday, man. He's turning 68 by God. We got to showcase the guy somehow. He's almost as old as Disneyland. That's how old he is. Yes. He was born.
My dad's older than Disneyland.
I remember Jerry telling us that. He didn't go because he was not old enough to go at the point it was open, was it? I don't remember. Anyway, thank you guys. Much appreciated. Thank you, JJ, for allowing me to smooch the pooch of Sting here all day. Because I know, again, the lack of knowledge is there, but I know the love of the icon is there, and I appreciate the opportunity to showcase the man called Sting. Absolutely. At least one more time on this channel because he's one of my favorite people ever in wrestling, and I can't express that enough. How much I think of Steve Borden. So.
Bottom line, he deserves it. He deserves it.
He does. So, as we did on Sunday with his final match, for the last time, it's showtime, folks. Thank you all for listening to and watching our discussion of the man called Sting.
The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.